Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today on the Legislative Assembly Economy and Infrastructure Committee inquiry into workplace surveillance, and it was a committee that I was on for quite a time. I enjoyed my time on that committee with my fellow members, and a big thank you to the Secretariat who did an enormous amount of work, and we had an enormous amount of public interest in this particular subject. And I think when we talk about workplace surveillance and the way workplaces are more diverse now, I think we always have to look at balance. And what we did find out through this committee, that sometimes the balance could have been skewed one way, and maybe not fair. We sit back and we talk about the worker's right to privacy, and certainly support that right, but we also talk about the employer's right to have his workplace surveilled, for want of a better word, you know. And not all workplaces have surveillance to watch workers. They have surveillance because they need to check for theft and break-ins and all those other things that unfortunately happens in workplaces. And I can say, when I employed people on building sites, I had surveillance on work sites, not to look at what the blokes were doing or where they were sitting too long in the toilet or having a smoke behind the shed. Although they builders, they could smoke anywhere, it didn't matter. Yeah, it was me. It was me, member for Gippsland East Gippsland, you're 100% right. But it was more for theft at night and to catch those who would come in and steal stuff at night. That's what it was about. But what struck me in this report, and it's one thing when we were in the committee and I was listening to the hearings, I heard a story about a person that was on work cover. They ended up on work cover. Something happened at work. They ended up at work cover. But what surprised me, and it surprised me it didn't appear in the recommendations either, was that when a workplace incident happens, the employer is not necessarily obliged to give that footage over. And I actually think out of all the stuff we listened to in this committee report, that particular point shocked me. And it shocked me for this reason, two reasons. As an employer, if I had the surveillance, I would give it over straight away to workplace to either support the claim of the worker that's been injured or find out for whatever other reason that accident occurred. And to me it makes common sense. If there's a workplace accident and you have the footage, hand the footage over. We've got to remember, work cover and work cover premiums are there for a reason. If you get injured at work, you are covered. So I don't know why any employer would resist in giving that information over unless it was gross negligence on his behalf. And then, to be honest, if those employers are doing that, well, stuff them. They probably don't deserve to have employees. Because in my mind, and I've said this before in this chamber as a builder, you know, you never want to make that phone call to someone to say their partner's been injured or their child's been injured. It's dead set, rock solid simple. You don't want that. I understand accidents happen, not always through negligence of the builder or the employer, sorry, not always through negligence of the employee. Sometimes stuff happens for no reason. It could be someone slipped. You know, that occurs on any workplace. And it's not through anything other than that. So I was actually surprised when I read this that recommendation wasn't in there. The recommendation that should say that employers have to give over that footage straight away in case of a workplace accident. And I think it's very, very relevant in this case. As I said, in everything we do in this chamber, in every law we put through or any piece of legislation, we have to find the balance. And we know that workplaces have changed. We know that employers have a right to have workplace surveillance. That's fine. We also know that employees have a right to privacy. And at the moment, the Commonwealth is going through workplace surveillance issues at the moment. They're looking at that. It was put forward the ACT has a very good model, but I will note in the minority report that they said the Victorian government should wait until the Commonwealth have done their part, which I also agree with as well. there's this balance right through. But my big recommendation and my own personal recommendation is that the government should look at legislating vision on workplace safety.